Okay, this is part 2 of the sensory deprivation video, my review of it, and I'm going to have my buddy Felipe ask me questions. So here's Felipe. Alright, so he's going to ask questions about my experience. So, go ahead, what are your questions?
Well, the first question is how did you come across it?
Somebody posted something on Facebook, and it was a picture of a sensory deprivation chamber, and it looked cool, and so I started researching it and found out that they don't have any in San Antonio. The closest one that they have is in Austin, and so I called them up and asked them about scheduling an appointment. They said sure, yeah. So it's in a house. It's in somebody's house, and so that was a little bit unique and interesting. And at first, when you drive up there, you go in through a neighborhood, and you're going, okay. And it's upstairs.
Were you comfortable? I mean, in the neighborhood, it was.
I was.
Professional.
I was. I mean, it's in Austin, so you kind of expect sometimes they're a little bit different in the way they do things, and so maybe I might not be as accepting of the fact that it's in a house if I were in San Antonio, but it's just kind of an Austin thing. But maybe if it was in a house in San Antonio, I might be comfortable too. But Austin,
What about it piqued your interest? What is it that you were looking for, searching for?
Meditation, getting isolated from external stimuli, and finding out what that did to my you basically find out what it did to my thoughts and what it did to my, maybe if it altered my character at all, if it had me ponder deep things, which on this session it didn't have me ponder anything deep, but it definitely feels like it has definitely altered my state of being at this today. I don't know how long it'll last, but it's definitely altered the way I feel today, and it altered my awareness.
What is your previous experience with meditation?
I've never been able to go as deep as quickly, as deep, period. I've never been able to let go as quickly. I've done yoga, and at the end of a really good yoga session, you feel pretty relaxed, but just pretty much you kind of feel like you want to fall asleep. And I have fallen asleep in a yoga session, and what normally wakes me up is laying on my back. I have a tendency to snore. I'm pretty much always snore if I lay on my back. And I wonder how much of that has to do with just the pressure of your body weight laying on your back, because I didn't snore in this tank, and I feel like I might have fallen asleep, but I can't really tell you if I did. I just lost time. It just kind of melted away, and the next thing I knew, it was time to get out.
In the previous video, you described the chamber. Can you do that again?
It's I want to stay away from describing it in the easiest way I can, because it sounds morbid, but I would imagine the best way to describe it is like a coffin. But a large coffin that has the door on the end of it instead of opening like a top. You get in through the bottom of it. Kind of almost could be described as like a space capsule, like you would see on a movie where they enter through the inside of it, the back of it, and you close the door behind you. But I mean, that's
a more comfortable description.
Yeah, I'm at a loss for how to describe it other than it's similar to that. I mean,
and you described what the process is, or what is the purpose of the chamber?
To get yourself to let go of everything that is concerning you, I guess. So I guess that's very much the residual effect right now of today. I still feel like I've let go of anything that concerns me, And as I mentioned in the other video, that could be a negative side effect if you're responsible for raising and supporting a family, and you get to a point where you don't care about anything. I mean, there's a certain amount of stress that's valuable and useful, and if you get rid of all of it, then you may not have the drive to do what you need to do to live a normal, productive life. And I don't feel like I'm at that level right now, having just done one session. I feel like, just as in everything, moderation is the key. So doing this every day would probably have an adverse effect in that respect. And I wonder if instead of sleeping, if you set up one of these things and went into it for 3 hours a night, if you might get the same kind of rest that you would get from a night's sleep, because it certainly felt like a very immense amount of relaxation was achieved in a short period of time by doing this. So I don't know, but the state of bliss and the state of relaxation, as I said, is so intense right now that doing it every night would probably have you not care about anything that could possibly be the case. But in moderation, I think that it could be a very beneficial thing.
Initially, when you first started the session, and it was completely dark and enclosed, was there any fear or feeling of claustrophobic?
Not at all for me, but I can't say that wouldn't be a concern for somebody who would have those issues under normal circumstances. So for me, my first concern was boredom. And I think that could be a very common concern for people. I think that most people, this is a very much the actual purpose of this chamber is to help people, I would imagine, cope with like the overstimulation that we have as a society. We always have our phones on. We're on Facebook, or we can't stand in a grocery store line without getting our phone out of our pocket and trying to look for something to distract us. You know, very few of us are going to stand in a line and be in the environment that we're in and experience the environment we're in for what it is. We're always looking for a distraction. We're looking for something to take us away from the boredom. And instead of trying to find something interesting about the environment that we're in.
Would you do these sessions again?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely will. And but I do have a tendency in my own personality that I know to take something that I think is fascinating or good for me in any way and just go to the extreme with it. So I'm very glad that this guy that told me about that coached me in the experience, that he did give me that kind of heads up, you know, that you can quickly get to a point where it's just such a state of relaxation that you really get away from even the level of stress that's beneficial. So that's what I'll be mindful of, is that I'm not gonna do it more than maybe I'll try it out like once a month, see what that does, see how long the residual effect of this experience lasts, and then gauge it that way. So
Well, the person coaching you, is there a process that one goes through, a growth process, or what changes would one expect, or benefits in the long term?
there are studies that say that it's very beneficial for things like medical conditions. You know how it is with anything like that. You can't say that it does this or does that, or it can't say that it cures cancer or prevents heart attacks or those kind of things, strokes, whatever. So with that in mind, and the possibility that I may someday get one of these units and bring it to San Antonio and have it as a place where people can come experience it, I got to make sure that I don't say anything like that in this video. But the studies are out there, so I would point to studies and say that there are studies that indicate that it could, lower risks of certain conditions. So definitely, I don't know if I answered the question you asked.
Well, I guess in a physical sense, but what about a spiritual sense?
It'd probably be different for different people of different beliefs. If somebody has a belief in Buddha or whatever, they're gonna probably take something different from the experience. I actually went into the chamber with God in mind and a seeking for a deeper connection with God, and I can't say that I got that. What I got was a complete disconnect from my senses and from anything other than my purest form of conscious, an awareness of consciousness without any distraction of my senses, which that's what it is a sensory deprivation chamber. And that's the experience that I got, was a complete disconnect from any thoughts, any concerns, anything that had to do with physical. And it just was a complete focus on consciousness without a thought attached. It's about the best I can describe it. So definitely, people's experiences would be different. There could be people that get in there and they're not able to relax, and they go through the entire hour and 45 minutes and they don't relax, and then it's just, man, I didn't get anything out of that. Well, then it's not to do with the chamber, it's to do with somebody not being able to let go.
Well, overall, how would you rate the experience? And I guess to wrap up the questions here, what are your thoughts on your first experience with the sensory deprivation chamber?
My thoughts on the first experience, to wrap it up and to say in a nutshell, are that it wasn't what I expected. I expected for my thoughts to be much more active, and I expected to be pondering the depths of the universe. But what happened was quite the contrary to that, and is that I wasn't thinking of anything. My thoughts disappeared, and there was only the awareness of my conscious state of consciousness. And I don't know if that translates into the proper thought in your mind or in the mind of the people that are watching this video, but that's really just all I can say about it, is that it wiped out all my thoughts. Maybe it didn't wipe out my thoughts, but it allowed me to wipe my thoughts. And it was extremely relaxing. So that's what I would say. Somebody might expect to get out of it if they are able to disconnect from their thoughts and disconnect from trying to even do anything. Trying to relax would distract you and keep you from having the experience that it is capable of giving you. So who knows? I mean, the next time I go in there could be a different experience. It could be that I do start pondering the depths of the universe. There's a video from somebody, I think his name's Joe Rogan. He's very well known in MMA. I make that face because I think I might be saying the name wrong, even though I watch MMA sometimes. And that's even funny because in the field that he's in that is very opposite to what this sensory deprivation chamber is about. He raves about it, and he says that he had thoughts of deep thoughts pondering the universe, but he's probably done it more than once, and it could possibly be that might be my next experience. Only time will tell. I'll have another video after it.
Cool.
Thanks for the
Okay.
question.